And I want to know if you are aware that the average age of a brand new CEO in this country is mid 50s, right around 54. 54. Now, this is the moment you have accumulated the most experience, the sharpest instincts, the strongest network you have ever had in your life. And this is also the exact time your body is going through one of the most significant biological shifts you will ever experience: perimenopause, menopause, the change. Right there at the peak, at the same moment. And here is what nobody told us: brain fog, sleep disruption, confidence that quietly starts slipping, energy that does not show up the way it used to. Not a single person in the boardroom, not a leadership book on that shelf, not one mentor prepared us for what that intersection would actually look like. Well, that's exactly what we are here to talk about today. For those of you who haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Geneva Williams. I am a leadership strategist. I've spent decades in executive leadership, raised more than $100 million for organizations and communities, served as a CEO, and built a national collaboration model from the ground up in my 50s. I am not a doctor. I am not a health expert. I want to be very clear about that. What I am is a woman who has been in the room, at the table, leading organizations and managing teams and making high stakes decisions while my body was going through something I did not fully understand. This is my show. And today we're going to have the conversation nobody had with us. So let me tell you, back in the early 2000s, I was in the one of the most demanding seasons of my career. I had just led the historic merger of two United Way organizations, and I became the first woman ever to lead that institution. Then I stepped out and built something completely new, this national public-private collaboration model that hadn't been done before, from scratch, in my 50s. And there was something happening to me that I could not name. I was tired in a way that sleep did not fix. I had too many moments of doubt that made no sense given everything I had already accomplished. There were days when my sharpness felt real foggy. I called it the fog season, when you know who you are, but you just don't feel like yourself. And I kept asking myself, what's going on with me? Irritable, exhausted in ways I could not explain. My husband kept saying to me, something wrong with you. And honestly, I was starting to wonder if he was right. There were moments in the middle of a presentation, going strong, doing it. The room was fully engaged. And then out of nowhere, it felt like someone turned up the heat to 1,000 degrees. Mid-sentence, in front of a room full of people counting on me, expecting me to perform and be in command. Now, my mama, bless her heart, never talked to me about any of this. That is just not what women did back then. And the word perimenopause, I honestly do not think she even knew that word. I certainly did not. And then around 2004, Menopause the musical came to town. I sat in that audience and the lights came on, not just on the stage inside of me. I thought, this is what has been happening to me. And I was already deep into it. Now, picture leading an organization, managing a team, sitting in rooms where people expect you to be sharp, decisive, and fully present while going through all of that with no information, no framework, and no permission to even say it out loud. That is still the reality for millions of women in leadership roles right now. And the data says it's costing us far more than we know. Women at the end of their reproductive years make up 20% of the entire labor force, 1 in 5 workers. And those are your most experienced and most seasoned people. 1 in 4 women has either stepped back from or never pursued a leadership opportunity specifically because of menopause symptoms. In the finance industry alone, that number jumps to 47%. Think about that. Nearly half of the senior women in the pipeline quietly stepped out of the race. And most organizations have no clue why. The Mayo Clinic estimates that unmanaged symptoms cost the US economy $1.8 billion every year in lost work time. And then this one, research from Stanford shows that women experience an average 10% drop in earnings within 4 years of a menopause diagnosis. 10% gone, right at the peak of your power. Listen, midlife women, this is not a personal problem. This is a leadership crisis. And silence is no longer an option. Today is part 1 of a 2-part live series called The Change. Okay, what nobody is talking to you or has talked to you about leading through menopause. And we're going to break the silence. We're going to name what's happening. We're going to look at the data. And we're going to have the conversation that's long overdue. And then in a few weeks, March 25th, we're going to come back to part 2. And that is where we move from knowing to doing, from informed to back in charge. Practical strategies for advocating for yourself in the doctor's office and protecting your authority and your confidence at work while your body is shifting. And also, I want you to know that I have something for you. It's a free guide called Leading Through the Fog. And it has some data in it, the workplace conversations that you can use to start talking about this, a checklist of what to ask for, and some real strategies you can use this week. The link will be in the chat, on the screen, and available by QR code. So now, let me introduce the 2 remarkable women joining me today. Joy D. Callaway is the president and CEO of the Black Women's Health Imperative, the only national nonprofit dedicated solely to the health of Black women and girls. Joy recently released preliminary findings from the largest national survey ever conducted on the lived experiences of Black women during menopause. More than 1,500 women shared their truth. How you doing, Joy? So great to have you here.
I am absolutely fantastic, Dr. Geneva, and your opening just brought me joy. What a wonderful way to kick off this conversation, this very critical conversation.
Thank you so much. And you know, it's my joy to have you here.
A pleasure.
Let's welcome my girl, Loretta Bush. Loretta is the president and CEO of Authority Health and a respected, well-known leader in public health and healthcare reform. She has spent decades building innovative health programs and strengthening community health systems across Michigan. She's considered an innovative pioneer in healthcare, and she brings both the policy perspective and the lived reality of navigating healthcare systems as a Black woman in leadership. How you doing, Loretta?
I'm doing great. Dr. Geneva, thanks for having me. Happy Women's History Month. How fabulous it is that we're having this conversation during Women's History Month, where we have not always talked about this time of life and celebrated this time of life and how we manage it. So I'm looking forward to this conversation with you, Dr. Geneva, and with Joy D. Callaway.
Yes, 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 yes. And so let me tell you what we're going to do. So, I have these incredible experts, leaders here. So we're going to ask them some questions and dive deep in and get all the gems and nuggets. And if you have questions or comments, things you want to say, please put them in the chat. I can see some of the comments already flowing in. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can, but we want you to really take in this information. And then afterwards, I'll come back after our guests leave and not only summarize, but leave you with a framework that you might find helpful to you. So that's how we're going to get started. And I'm going to kick us off with, and I just have to tell you, Joy, when I read about your study, the findings that you released, as you know, I got to you right away, and I said, "Wow, we have got to talk about this. I've got to have the pleasure, the joy." In having this kind of conversation. But what struck me was not just the symptoms, it was about how many capable, accomplished women begin to doubt themselves. And these are leaders. So I want to understand also what stood out to you the most. And you all surveyed more than 1,500 Black women about their experiences. What surprised you? What surprised you most about what they told you?
I get this question a lot when we have this conversation, and I changed the word surprise to underscore. We've all of us around the screen have been in the work world and in healthcare for, upwards of 30 years, right? So there's not a whole lot that surprises me anymore when we're talking about Black folks and the healthcare system. What has been underscored for me when I saw the results of this survey, that is that access and education, social economic status does not change the fact that Black women are not getting the information that they need and they want when they're talking about perimenopause and menopause. That is what was underscored. So even when we looked at the folks that took our study, even formally educated, some higher master's degree and above, on the higher end of the socioeconomic scale, had air quotes good insurance, as our parents used to call it, all of those things, and yet 54% of them still did not know which of the recommendations to follow. Right, over 50% felt like they were being dismissed in the exchange with the provider. So those are the things that really underscored and not surprised, maybe even shocked at some point, because you'd like to believe that if we have all of the things we're supposed to have,
right,
we'll have better engagements with the healthcare system. And we found that wasn't true.
Yeah, that is really significant. And as I work with women too, so often they thought they were, like losing their edge, and they're smart, educated, and, they weren't. They just didn't have the access to the information and know where to get it, what to do with it. Loretta, what's been your experience? And as you read the findings from Joy's study?
Yeah, again, I'll have to agree, not surprising, but definitely I like the word underscored. So, you know, what I try to say to women is you have to remember that a physician, you need to look at them as being employed by you. And if you are not getting what you need, you can fire that physician and go to another, and I'll say clinician because it might be an advanced practice nurse, it may be a physician's assistant, but someone who is going to respect, understand, and listen to your concerns and what's going on. So I always try to get the message out. There's no need to stay with someone who is not willing to partner with you about what's happening with you at this time. And then for us in the space that we're in, because we run a residency program, you know, we're trying to, you know, get our arms around these young physicians as they come out of medical school, for them to be trained in a, you know, in a different way. And that is to respect the voice of women and to understand while there are major changes that are going on, many of which you've described very well, you know, the cognitive changes, the brain fog, the irritability, all of that. But all of that is a part of, and what I'm want to talk is the transition. You know, menopause is not an end; it is a transition.
Yes.
And even though we are facing menopause and perimenopause for the first time, as leaders who have lived long enough to be in that space, we have faced and managed and led through many other transitions. And those skills that we learned, as you pointed out, by the time we get to that age, we have developed our skills at the highest of heights. And so the skills that we use to lead through other transitions, many of them are applicable to how we're going to lead and show up during menopause.
Yes. Yeah, that's very insightful. And yes, and I love the framing of the underscore, you know, really just confirming so much of what we know. But we also know that oftentimes, particularly for those who are in leadership roles, when we are not prepared for a shift, we often blame ourselves. So let's talk about, I want to spend just a moment getting into the health side of it. What's actually happening in a woman's body? Most women have heard the word menopause, but I know, like for me, perimenopause caught me off guard, and that catches many women off guard. Can you explain what's happening in the body when it starts, and why do so many women not see it coming?
So a couple things, and I'm a logophile, so let's get the words right. And this is what happens. We say perimenopause, we say menopause, and we conflate them. Menopause is a moment in time. The moment at which you have gone 12 months without a consistent period, that moment is menopause. All the things that we talk about as menopause is perimenopause. That's a transitional period that can be 4 to 12 years, depending. And our study found that Black women start perimenopause in many cases earlier and have a longer duration, just to say, than our white counterparts. But that is the transition period. That is when you have irregular periods, unpredictable periods. That is when you have the flashes and the sweats and the vaginal atrophy and dryness and the brain fog and the irritability. The list goes on. And I don't like to hang out there. But how we can make sure that people are prepared, women are prepared, is to start having the conversation earlier. Our study found that 66% of our respondents wanted to have culturally grounded education and information earlier in their 30s. That is that. Now that one, I will
30s.
That is the one that surprised me. In their 30s, they wanted to start talking about it, and we're finding that all of these things that happen, or we know all of these things that happen to our bodies, are happening because our hormones are going haywire. Our estrogen and our progesterone, and testosterone, all of that is moving at a rapid pace, and it's going up and down and just changing. So of course, our body is going to start having different kinds of symptoms, right, that we heard of. It's important for us at BWHI to start having the conversation earlier. in a culturally grounded way. I believe, much like Loretta said, that we are partners in healthcare with our healthcare providers.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into a new physician or a new provider and say, listen, you're the medicine expert, I'm the joy expert. Between us, we are going to get me where I want to be. And so we want to empower women as they're moving into this season of perimenopause before they hit that static moment of menopause, to say that you are the captain of this ship, at least co-captain with your healthcare provider. We want to reclaim this midlife season for Black women, right? I'm so excited that we're talking about it now, but we want to reclaim, we want to make sure women know what is to come. And almost as importantly, equally important, is what to do about it. We don't have to suffer in silence anymore. This is now have this on the front page of our lives to talk about, and we want to give people tools.
And so, Joy, is the thinking that the reason so many of us don't understand or know is because we don't talk about it at a younger age, and it's part of the playbook of life for us?
Absolutely. Both, we don't talk about it, and just traditionally, culturally, if you think about it, I don't know, my mother didn't talk about it, right? I had a very open kind of, my mom didn't talk about it. It was the change, girl, it's what you go through. And we were just, it's almost like it was a victim. I'm not saying my mother was like that, but that kind of victim, we just got to deal with it. There's nothing you can do about it. And so we know better now. And when you know better, you do better.
Exactly. It's almost like a private health concern, a private issue that you don't talk about, and you certainly don't bring it to the workplace. Exactly. So you got to work through that. Loretta?
I just want to jump in
about this question about, well, how is it that we don't know?
So let me just go back for 1 minute, because Joy pointed out an important leadership skill through menopause and perimenopause, and that's self-awareness. When she said, I tell my physician, you're the medical one, but I'm the joy expert, I'm the Loretta expert. And this is a time when we need to really take that self-awareness to a deeper level. And let me just give you an example. I was talking to a female leader. She and I were both about to present. We had just finished our chit and chat. And just out of the blue, she, mentioned to me, I'm in perimenopause. And what she said to me, and I want to bring this up because this is the one we don't talk about enough. She said, for the first time in my life, I have experienced absolute rage. Absolute rage, right? Right. And so first, that self-awareness of what is going on. For the first time in my life, I've experienced absolute rage. And when you were saying, Dr. Geneva, so we cannot show up this way in the workplace. This is a leader. But first, the self-awareness and going deeper in that. And when I talked to another female colleague, she said, I just thought it was ancestral. Because while our parents didn't talk about it, we saw it. We saw it in our mom. We saw it in our grandma. When our dad thought our mom was going crazy and grandma was going crazy, and people talked about it in the neighborhood. Miss Ann down the street is going crazy. She the mean crazy lady who gonna run out and tell you to get off her grass and everything. So and likening that to, again, the leadership skill, we talk about emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And this is a time in our lives when we should have developed that to a height. But now that we're become aware of it, we need to be able to lead through it and manage it. So that's just one of the things, because Joy was talking about, like, we try to move kind of like through the bad stuff, the symptoms quickly, but we name them and we think about, now, how do I manage this feeling that I'm having, this anxiety, this anger, this time in my life when I'll just say, we no longer can suffer fools very long. We get and being able to utilize the emotional intelligence skills that first say that everything that can be said shouldn't be said, and then also being able to lead in that moment and giving that, I think I can't remember if it's 60 seconds or 90 seconds
Mhm.
that we need to stop, breathe through it, and
Yes.
lead through that.
And be able to manage it and handle it, particularly in those high stake situations.
In those
And,
high
you
stakes,
know,
yeah,
I also love the back to the self-awareness, you know, when we know we do better,
Right.
and the leadership skills that you point out, Loretta, particularly around emotional intelligence.
yeah.
It's another one. I wanted to say good morning. We've got a lot of people joining us, folk like Dr. Trin and Tyra Evans. Welcome. And who else did I? Clue Girl, my girl, Clue Girl. How you been? Ms. Nixon, I see, is with us. Lanice. Oh, greetings to you. And Kiana's here and coming in from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, we've got a great crowd joining us. And again, if you're on TikTok, I know you can hear and see me, but please go over to LinkedIn or YouTube or even Facebook. Go on over there and join in the conversation. I've got fantastic guest here, and we're talking about, you know, a subject that's so important. So listen, we do know that, in what from your study, 43% of Black women say they were treated unfairly in the doctor's office, and that's not a small issue. That's a system problem. So can you say a little bit more about that? What does that look like? And why does it keep happening?
So the experience of that Black women have in the perimenopause experience or transition is not happening in a vacuum. It's a microcosm of how Black women, I'll speak specifically, but broader, Black
Mhm.
women are treated often in the healthcare system as a whole. So it's not like it's just happening because we're in this perimenopause space and it's all in your head. It's not that. It is part of the overall picture of what we're dealing with. It is exactly what Kira Johnson experienced in 2016. It's exactly what Janelle Green Smith, a midwife, experienced in 2026, Tori Bowie in 2023. The sister in Mesquite, Texas, the viral video we all saw of that young woman actively, heavily laboring in excruciating pain in November. It is that Black women in many, unfortunately, many healthcare situations are dismissed, are ignored, are dehumanized, are not considered, are pushed to the side. And so, you know, we can have a whole week-long series on why it keeps happening, because there's racism and bias in healthcare. There are systemic challenges, there are individual challenges, there's there are courses, whole semester-long courses on that. What we choose to focus on in Black Women's Health Imperative is what can be done. So now what, right? So as we're working broadly and systemically and on policy and research to do things with the entire system, we also want to be able to talk to individual women when we are engaging them at our Power in the Pause edutainment events around the country. We are dealing with individual women and the things that they're dealing with. What's important to us is to empower them with information, to give confidence in this experience. Like my sis was saying, you know, this is self-awareness time. Know these things could come, all of it, joint pain, irritability, the rage, all of that. Know it's coming. It could come. Be prepared, educate them. Another thing that I talk about quite frequently is I strongly believe in racially concordant care. It's not always possible, depending on where you live, it's not always possible, but I believe in racially concordant care. I want my healthcare providers to look like me, because as the old people say, that which is understood need not be explained. We also encourage people to advocate for increasing the number of Black healthcare providers in the system. We advocate for systemic review and redesign and change. So that is, we don't focus so much, try not to focus so much on why it's happening and what's happening, because it's been happening since we've been here.
Okay.
Right? Hard to change it, but let's focus on what we can do to make it different. One other quick point. that I think want to amplify something Loretta said around this self-awareness piece. I am so excited that menopause is now on front page and we can just talk about it. Some of us are blessed with personalities that we talk about what we want to talk about anyway, right?
Mhm.
But for the rest of y'all, this gives you that opportunity, right? It gives you the opportunity to bring it up. And so thankfully, I work in an organization with all Black women for the most part, right? And so I can say, you know what? Y'all, the way my estrogen is set up today, we might not want to go deep on this conversation. I'm able to say something like that, right? I'm able to say those things because I am aware today is a day that maybe my estradiol isn't kicked in right, and I'm having a moment, and I can say that. We want people to be able to understand where they are and freely offer that as part of their leadership style and experience.
Right. And again, this gets back to that point about leadership and also in the way that self-advocacy, that's so important, that, be your own chief health officer. No, it is not in your head,
No.
just in your head. And no, you are not alone. Everybody going through it. Every woman is going through it. And you, in fact, there are things you can say, things you can do, and how you can speak up. And we need to be leading ourselves both in the doctor's office and in the boardroom.
And in the boardroom. And,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, the theme that's come, preparedness is the key.
That's
Starting
okay.
early, but being prepared, as Sis said, we know these things are coming. We know these things are coming. We're now talking about it in advance. And that then we prepare ourselves the way we have prepared ourselves from supervisor to manager to now CEO. We've prepared ourselves in the past. So we are not without a toolkit, so to speak. How do we lay these on top of what's happening to us now? I love Joy's experience being in a women affirming environment. Not
Yes.
everyone is, though. So then we have to bring out some other tools, and a tool that and I see you use this very well, Dr. Geneva. We learn time management as a leader. When we are leaders in this phase of life, we have to accelerate energy management as well. We know there are certain times when we may be at our peak. And these are the times when we schedule those high energy, difficult meetings and things like that. Because fortunately, if we're in that leadership role, now we have a little bit of, hopefully a lot more control about our environment and when things are happening. So scheduling meetings at those high peak times, letting people know where you used to be able to do 3 speaking engagements a day and then go run out and have a dinner meeting and everything and still be at your best. Now give me 1 speaking engagement. Let me find out when do I absolutely have to be there so that I'm not having to engage with 300 people before I then take the stage and everything.
Right.
Is there a green room that I can sit in? But now you're doing energy management, because if we don't prepare, these are the things that make us lose confidence. Girl, I used to be able to. Now I'm scared. I'm scared to accept a speaking engagement because I made this, that, and the other. Well, now I used to be able to just go, right off the cuff. Now give me a note or two. Okay, let me have some notes. So that when that brain fog kicks in and it's like, oop, everything just went out of my head, just gently look down and grab that note out of there and then proceed on. But now, but that time management skill that we have now, not only time management, but energy.
The energy.
That's so
energy management.
Yes.
Everybody is not in a woman affirming environment where you can say, now look, my estrogen is real off today and my patch is not working real good. But you know yourself, you prepare and everything. And you're the leader now in many cases. You're the leader now in the room. And so look, you know you're at your peak between 10 and 1. And this is when I'm
Yes.
going to do my high energy things where my brain is more clear, my energy level is high. I can accept some other things and everything, but now you're not only time managing, but you're also energy managing.
That's
And
right.
this helps to boost our confidence, you know, that we can do
Absolutely.
this thing.
Which is what we really need during this period of time, particularly, those times. But, we talk about this being prepared, and many of us know about the hot flashes and the brain fog, and we could say, oh, when I'm getting them, but many women are dealing with symptoms they don't even connect to menopause. So let's level set for a moment and talk about some of those symptoms that might even surprise you all, and particularly in the research, but which you've come across, and what are women missing?
I always get this question. I hate to answer because it's going to sound like a laundry list of crazy.
No, please give it.
We're Black women in America. We're used to the laundry list of crazy.
Great.
And so let me couch this by saying, or precede this by saying, this is a mind shift change. We want to reclaim midlife. We want to get out of the doldrums and the woe is me and I hate this. It is a privilege to get to the age to have to go through perimenopause and end up in menopause. So let's start there. It's a privilege. I have friends that never got to menopause, and I miss it every day. Let me say that. That said, this experience, this prime time experience, some of the things we've heard about already and some that we may have not, that rage that comes up out of nowhere. We know about depression is part of this. Anxiety is part of this. And for women those of us who are in these places of leadership, anxiety, what are you talking about? Lack of confidence, what are you talking about? We get to these places and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, should I do this? Can I, like as Loretta was saying, here's the one that people do not connect: frozen shoulder.
Yes.
What is that? That is connected because estrogen levels are changing in your body. Estrogen impacts everything, including the viscosity. What is that of your connective tissue?
The connective
right,
tissue.
the malleability of your connective tissue. So that frozen shoulder, that extreme exhaustion. Here's one: itchy skin, overly dry skin, joint pain. So there's so many things. Here's one that got me, and I like Oprah. I heard Oprah talking about this. I thought I was dying in the middle of the night. Heart palpitations, like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. So I hesitate to say, but here is where that self-awareness, understanding your body, that's right. Early on. We should be teaching the little babies this one. Know your body and what is baseline for your body. So as things are starting to change for us, in those mid-30s, as things are changing, almost everything that you don't recognize could be connected to this exciting transition period, which is why you have a good relationship with your provider so you can get there and say, I'm usually not having this issue, now I'm having this issue, maybe we need to check some levels.
That's right. And a provider that's going to listen to you and respect that and partner with that and not dismiss your itchy, dry skin.
That's it.
Okay, because that's going to impact your ability to show up at being the leader that you want to be. And and the joint pains and all of the things that you've brought up. A provider that's going to respect that, listen to it, and not go, not just pat you on your shoulder and say, yeah, this is a problem, but actually help you work through some of that, because all of those things, usually there's something in the bag of tricks that your clinician can work with you on to help you understand it. But it all starts with that self-awareness. When you were talking about that, Joy, I was thinking about, and I don't know if they even still use it. I remember in undergrad, one of our first books, but I chose a women's class, was Our Bodies, Ourselves.
Yes.
I held on to that book
next to the Bible, right?
Like it was the Bible, okay? I did not go. I mean, here you are. But it starts early. Here I was 17, and I get this book for the first time. Our Bodies, Ourselves. I couldn't wait to digest the whole thing. I never hear about that book anymore. I hope it's still in circulation. But it was a good start in understanding yourself so that
That's
you
right.
can then have awareness about the transitions that are going on throughout the years. And then you
Yes.
get to this beautiful part, this beautiful, but sometimes challenging
Beautiful.
part, right?
Yes. And it is. And that and setting that frame is so important
Yep.
because as you said, Joy, there are many women who've never even gotten to this stage, never experienced this
That's
stage
right.
because they're no longer here with us.
Mhm.
And so just like everything about midlife and what, I love to talk about is that this is the best time
Prime
of
time.
your life.
Mhm.
And you discover so much about yourself, all the power, the vibrancy, the wisdom, and you know a whole lot about things now.
That's
And
right.
so rejoicing in that and being in control of, command of, knowledge of, chief health officer of yourself, what's happening with your body,
That's
and
right.
understanding that there will be this intersection between biology and business.
Mhm.
The
That's right.
work that you do, the places that you are, there is an intersection and it's coming. So let's be prepared. But what's happened to many of us is that we didn't know it and there's been no playbook. And that's what
Right.
we're changing today. So the chat is just jumping with comments, people wanting to say hello. And Patricia Johnson saying hello to all of us. Rashonda Price, Sean Hill, coming in from LinkedIn and YouTube. Angela, how you doing, Angela Cole? Great to see you. Yes, this is a great topic to talk about. Artenia, the WISE administration, energy management. People are loving the energy management conversation, which is so real and really is something we need to do in midlife generally, because it's no longer about how do I manage my time, the hours in the day. It's how do I take care of my energy?
That's right.
Because
right.
now I really know what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
That's
That
right.
gives us, that's again another one of those wisdom parts of this time.
Mhm.
So I need to do that. Now, as several people are asking, Kenya, Ms. Campbell, and Sean, yes, this conversation is being recorded. You can catch the replay on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. And so, yes, but more importantly, not only this conversation, but in a couple weeks, I'm having Joy and Loretta back for part 2. And on part 2, we're going to dive deeper in what you can do. Because, again, know better, do better.
Do
But
better.
you've gotten gems. And, I just have to say this to my sisters, Joy and Loretta, which is one of the many reasons not only do I love them, but respect and admire what they do for people. But they come on now. They giving some facts, they giving some datas, but the conversation always switches to what you can do.
What you can do.
That empowerment. That's where they're grounded in. That's where they come from. So when we come back, so you got a lot of that today, but when we come back, oh my goodness, you're going to have to take out your notebooks. You're going to have to double record this. You're going to have to call all your friends, because on the 25th, we're really going to get into things that you can do right now today. But as we wind down our conversation, I know there are women out there who feel something is off, but perhaps don't know what to do next. So if there's for the woman who feels, I know something, but I'm not sure what to do. What's the one thing you want her to walk away knowing today?
Wow, that's a good one.
That's good.
I'm gonna just go with the first one that came to my mind. I want you to know is don't over attribute your hormonal changes to your competence. These hormonal changes
Mm.
are happening. You're aware of them. There are, as you mentioned, we're going to talk about what you can do, but don't over attribute them to your competence and now come to believe that I can no longer do advanced things. I can no longer run an organization.
Excellent.
It has somehow diminished my competence and everything. While these things are happening, they do not diminish your competence. The way you used to show up, the things that used to work for you may need to work differently during this time. But understand that if you have lived to make it to this point in life, you have so many tools in your toolbox that will help you to remain competent, show up in a leadership style that you appreciate, that brings respect to yourself and your organization, and that these hormonal changes don't diminish your competence.
That's beautiful. What terrific insight. So there's not a direct line between what's going on with your biology and your competence.
No, because you may get the brain fog, but it's still in there.
That's
You
right.
may
It's
need
still
to get
you.
it out. You still
still
you.
you.
Need to get it out in different ways and everything.
Okay.
You
Okay.
may
Love it. Love it. Love
so
it.
it does not diminish your competence, but the skills that you use to make sure that your competence remain high, it's a different set of skills. But it's not a direct line. Now I got brain fog, so I can't.
So I can't do.
Agreed.
I can't do. Yeah.
So, and again, that's really a mind shift that we're talking about needs to happen. But that's what you do in midlife.
Exactly.
You shift.
It's all about rediscovery, re-engaging, shifting.
That's right.
So
now just real quickly, and it's a transition because as a leader, you've already moved from the doer. You've moved from the doer to the delegator to the coach so you've already moved. So it's not always necessary to say I have to be the smartest person in the room. I have to be the person who have assembled the smartest people in the room. So how your competence shows up may be different, but it's still there, and your hormonal changes do not make you become incompetent.
Love it. Love it. Joy, what do you have to say to that woman who, knows something's off, but just not sure about what to do next?
My friends have heard me say this before. It's all in the knowing. And I say that about a number of different things. It's in the knowing. So what do I want people to know? I want to play off this concept of it's all in your head. It is all in your head. And by that, I mean, know that you get to decide what you think about this experience. We don't have to listen to what the world tells us to think about this experience. You get to decide. So it's all in your head. The other side of that is it's not all in your head. I take a full circle back to our childhood. Perimenopause is like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, because at some point, all of that's going to feel off in some way. So knowing that it is everywhere, what the changes, your hormonal fluctuations change everything about your body. So any and everything may feel different, may feel less than, may feel more of than it has been in the past. So the knowing about your body and what is your baseline and how you show up is critically important. So if you haven't gotten in touch with your body and how it works and how things happen and what your baseline is yet, this is the time to start making sure you're clear so that you can partner with, in my ideal world, a racially concordant, culturally aware healthcare provider who understands menopause. And many providers now are trained and certified in menopause care.
Yes.
That would be my wish and my hope for you.
Yes. Oh, magnificent. Thank you so much. The knowing. And I love the play of, it's not in your head. It's in your head. I just love that because it's so real. And you bringing that insight is just, I know there's somebody out there, there's lots of somebodies who just hearing your words, Joy, Loretta, you've made a difference. And we can tell by all the comments that are coming in and the begging for this to be recorded. Yes, it is being recorded. And we've got, thank you for sharing the tips and the self-awareness and everything. Just those comments continue to stream in, and I love it. I just want to say again to the two of you, thanks. You know, hey, you was dropping it like I knew you would. I can't wait until the 25th and to see you, hear you, listen to it, and all the conversation we can engage in. Love you both, Joy and Loretta. Thank you for being here. Joy and Loretta, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Just fantastic, aren't they? Just wonderful. And I knew they would be, and a beautiful kickoff. This is exactly the kind of conversation I wanted to bring to you. And I knew they'd bring it. They brought the data, the truth, the things you can do, the clarity that every woman watching needed to hear today. And so I'm so grateful to these two leaders, extraordinary leaders, and we'll see them again on the 25th. Now, I want to leave you with something also practical to add to your leadership toolbox. Because everything we talked about today means nothing if you don't walk away without a next step. So you've gotten some next steps from Joy and Loretta, the understanding that your competence isn't directly attached to this biological thing, that hot flash you're having. You are you. And then the profound impact and authority in knowing about and what your headspace is. Well, I want to leave you also with a next step. And I've been in leadership long enough to know that information without a plan is just a noise. So here's your plan, some 5 steps, simple, actionable. You can find them in the Leading Through the Fog, a guide, completely within your control today. And it's what I call the lead through the change. And this is a 5-step leadership strategy. Step 1, name it. Stop guessing. Get clear on what is happening in your body and with your energy. You cannot lead through what you don't understand yet. Step 2, I want you to track it. Notice your patterns, your energy, your sleep, your focus, your clarity. Data removes fear and puts you back in charge. Step 3, adjust it. So when you see things happening, when you see those patterns, schedule your most important decisions and high stakes work during your peak clarity windows. Protect your energy for what matters most. Step 4, advocate for. That's at self-advocacy. Ask better questions in the doctor's office. Ask for what you need at work. You've spent a lot of time, decades, advocating for others, families, children, people you work with. Now go advocate for yourself. And step 5, lead it. Break the silence. When you don't speak up, it matters. But when you do speak up, it matters more, because you do not just change your own experience, you protect every woman around you and those coming behind you. So that's the 5 steps that you can do right now, today. And so if you did not grab yet the free guide, what you waiting for? Do it now. It's called Leading Through the Fall. It's a guide. It's got some great information, some good data, some things you can say at work, a checklist, just some stuff. And then also some things that I use and things I do to help me through those times. The link is in the chat and it's running on the screen. And the guide has everything we talked about today in one place. So the conversations, the data, etc. Take it with you and go on and get it. And listen, on March 25th, again, during this Women's History Month, put it on your calendar. Part 2 is where we continue the action-oriented, let's get practical conversation. So you got a taste of it today. You know Joy and Loretta are going to bring it. They're coming back. And we're all going to talk about exactly what to do in the doctor's office, at work, and in your own life. So you can stop powering through in silence and start leading this transition like you did and have done all your other transitions on your own terms. So I want you to bring somebody with you. This is going to be a replay. I want you to share this replay. And every woman in your network who is navigating this deserves to be in this conversation. So you now know what has been happening. You have the data. You have the frameworks. You have the guide. There's only one thing left to do. Do not let biology write your leadership story. Decide what's next. Midlife is not a slowdown. It's prime time. I'm Dr. Geneva. I want to thank you for being here, and we'll see you again next week, Wednesday, every Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but also on March 25th. Mwah. Love you. See you then.